the growth of something that you have to nurture in order for it to grow. So, like, think about plants. Plant growth and plant life is often dictated by the moon as well. It represents water, and so the tides are dictated by the moon, and you have inner tides.
Right.
That's what the womb itself is.
Right.
And then on the lower end, you got all the emotions, because that's water too. And, you know, your blood boiling, and your blood boils, that means you probably have a bad mixture between the moon and Mars, because you get angered easily, and that's your emotions, and they're hot.
Right.
So you'll be able to indicate that in somebody's chart.
Go ahead.
So I was going to say, I think I always suggest people should at least learn their Holy Trinity, which would be their moon sign, which is who they truly are, their sun sign, which is like your personality, the characteristics that most govern and dictate your life, and then your rising sign indicates your body type, who you are when people first meet you, and how you act defensively as well.
That's very beautiful. Now, Department of Interjection. Now, so I've been reading, and I've saw this animation, and it's called The Laws of the Sun. And the way they were explaining the energies, they travel. And I mean, it ties in with this astrology, because it was a king of Mu, and they were talking about the land of Mu. And I know you know something more along them lines. And each generation would come back. They would be the same energies, and they would go off of the moon, and the moon struck, or I think it was the moon struck, and I think that's what they had called it, that these energies would keep coming back to the planet until they get something right. Now, how does that tie in with what we're dealing with today?
With astrology? Well, there are certain planets that are considered to have naturally a higher frequency than others. So the two planets that we know of today that are considered to have the highest frequency would be Uranus and Neptune. So if you had a lot of that in your chart, then that represents that your essence, maybe your like your soul, it was able to travel to that dimension, to that planet, and be able to pick up the energies, and now you're here, and you have to learn how to use them and manifest them on this earth plane. If you did not manifest with those planets, and that means that something, maybe you might meet people in this lifetime who will, help you to garner those qualities, as opposed to some of the lower planets would be like, if you have a lot of Mars, and you have a lot of the moon being heavy and strong in your chart, that means that you kind of got trapped up in that energy. And so you had to go back and learn the higher principles of Mars and the moon, and even Saturn, and now you're here, and you have to display that, because this is the planet of testing. It's like you have to display whatever you learn in other ethers or other realms. You have to come back here in order to show mastery. And if you don't master it, you're going to be thrown back to whatever that energy is that you didn't master. And so for me, even I know the moon is emotion. So that combined with Mars is not a very good energy to have, because that means it makes you very reactionary. So then you're likely going to get a lot of experiences that would make you want to act in a very reactionary way. And you have to learn to not do that. And if you can't master that, you're gonna have to go back and learn the lessons of the Mars and the moon, the higher principles, and then come back to this planet and show the higher qualities once again. And if you don't do that, you're gonna just keep going through that cycle over and over. Is to my understanding. And then this planet higher planet itself. People who did not master whatever their lower energies are will be cast to Saturn, because that's the planet of retribution and discipline. And so if you don't master it here on Earth, you're going to go to an even lower frequency and be forced to master it, because the Earth is moving to a higher frequency. That's why we're trying to cleanse all these things regarding our inner selves, our physical bodies, regarding the law, and regarding the way that we interact with one another in society. Like, all these things have to be cleansed, because the Earth itself is going through a cleansing and a transformation. And if you don't master that, you're going to be thrown off the ship.
And pardon the interjection, that was really beautiful and enlightening. Now, does that all tie in with, I guess, reincarnation? We reincarnate until we burn off the lower aspects of ourselves. Is that safe to say that's why we have reincarnation?
Yes, but I don't believe that, like, we come back as like a bug or a plant or, you know, different animals. Like, we are in the plane and frequency that we are in, just like a plant is in its own plane. Right. And that we can read in the Circle 7, Quran. It indicates that. I believe it was a chapter on, where the one they called Jesus was speaking with, I just want to say Barato. I always get that mixed up. Barata, excuse me. It was Barata. That's chapter 11. So if anyone wants to reference that, you know, that's where they talk about reincarnation is not how the Hindu may say that, you know, you're going to come back as a bug or whatnot. You're going to come back as the same entity that you were, because that's who you were manifested to be.
Right, and pardon me on that. I concur with you on that, because I do have the Circle 7 Quran, excuse me, and I've been doing shows. I've started 2 shows, and I'm to chapter 2 now. So each show I'm going to dedicate a chapter to till I finish it all. And yes, I do agree with you on that. That is very beautiful.
Islam, yes.
And that is something that I think, I know everyone should have, is the Circle 7. And from the moment I touched it and strolled down, and I just got this rush of energy, and I couldn't put it down ever since. So I try every day to read a chapter, and then when I do my shows, I'll do the chapter of the show.
Islam, and the Circle 7, you know, when I first came into the movement, that was the people that I came into the movement learning under, that was a heavy emphasis for them, is the Quran. But one thing I was grateful was that they gave me a lot of metaphysical insight into the Quran, and not kind of just a literal story. Right. How some people may see it. So it's very powerful, and I encourage, like you said, everybody should be reading at least a chapter a day that they can use to focus their daily interactions upon. One of the ones I really like to focus on internally is the chapter regarding the one they call Jesus when he was being tempted, and he was being tempted, and he said that he basically rebuked, and that's something you hear in church a lot. Right. He said, you know, you can tempt me no longer, and I am standing firm. I'm standing on my square. I'm paraphrasing. But just those words in the chapter, it showed that it drove away the lower self, because that's who was challenging him. And so that's something that I like to think back to, because we have control over whether we let the lower self manifest and dictate